Hey everybody, welcome back to God's Plan Your Part. Today we are going to jump into Jeremiah 23 to 25. And it's some pretty interesting passages. I've really enjoyed Jeremiah to this point. There's one passage in here that is telling us that Jeremiah has been prophesying at this point for 23 years. So as we've been reading over it, I think we've been reading in Jeremiah like a few days. It feels like it hasn't been very long, but for Jeremiah, this so far has covered 23 years. So he is doing the Lord's work for quite a while. Today's passages are going to deal with kind of what's going on with the people, how judgment is going to come, and the judgment is going to extend beyond the people of Israel. There's this passage about drinking the Lord's wrath, and it covers everyone, including the Babylonians. So it's kind of this extensive prophecy of destruction for everyone who is disobedient to the Lord. So as we've read over these passages, Jenny, I know you've been excited to talk about them. What do you want to cover today?
I don't know if I've been excited because I think ultimately it's just really sad. But I think something that caught my attention right away is chapter 23 just kind of like breaks open the doors for all of those passages that we read before that were like hinting towards the corruption and the terrible acts of the lying prophets or false prophets, if you will. So actually the first couple verses of 23 is interesting because it brought back that idea that you were talking about before about shepherds. So we talked about shepherds a couple days ago, and it opens up with talking about how the Lord is going to he's angry about the shepherds that are not shepherding his people. They don't care for the people. And he says, you've scattered my flock. You've driven them away from me. And I'm going to send someone. It actually refers to the someone as being a righteous branch who will come and kind of bring the people back that have been scattered. And will kind of bring them back together to worship the one true God. So that is an interesting visual. We've heard this wording before of that shepherd needing to shepherd his flock well. And because of kind of like the mishandling of the Lord's people, he's going to send someone, which is this cool picture of the righteous branch being Jesus.
Actually, I think it's Isaiah chapter 11 also talks about the righteous branch that is coming. So we're getting the same message from a different prophet now. Isaiah was prophesying before Jeremiah, now Jeremiah after him. So that righteous branch imagery is very important, and the New Testament authors are going to use that as well.
Then we kind of move into this next portion of chapter 23 that is specifically calling out the lying prophets. And we have seen this before, but it like if you were like definitely eyes open to this before in previous chapters of just like, wow, there were some really corrupt people. There were some really bad leaders. This chapter just like opens the floodgates for what the Lord is not going to put up with anymore. In verse 16 of chapter 23, it says, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you, filling you with vain hopes." That's so interesting to me. "They speak visions of their own minds, not from the mouth of the Lord. They say continually to those who despise the word of the Lord, it shall be well for you." So it's so crazy to me. Oh, actually, I should continue the verse because it's pretty powerful. "And to everyone who stubbornly follows his own heart, they say, no disaster shall come upon you." So this is just a time where everybody is just like living out their truth. And, like God is blessing us. So, I mean, at this time, they're living like a pretty comfortable life.
Yeah.
And they're like, live out your own truth because God is going to like keep you. He's going to reward you. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want.
There's a little bit more context later on in chapter 23 about what these lying prophets are up to. And it talks about how they're basically declaring a word from the Lord that is nothing more than something they dreamed up in their own minds. "I have heard the prophets who prophesy in my name saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall there be lies in the hearts of the prophets who prophesy lies and who prophesy the deceit of their own heart?" That's chapter 23, verse 25 to 26. And you get this idea that they're declaring things. They're saying they had dreams from God, and God is looking at it saying, that dream was not from me. You're just making things up. You're just making up dreams and visions. And then he kind of pits it against knowing God's word. because he talks about the prophet. This is verse 28. Let the prophet who has a dream tell the dream, but let the one who has my word speak my word faithfully. What has straw in common with wheat, declares the Lord? Is not my word like the fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, declares the Lord, who steal my words from one another. Behold, I am against the prophets, declares the Lord, who use their tongues and declares the Lord. He's saying basically the prophets are stealing ideas from each other. The only voice they're listening to is the voice of the other prophets.
And they tactfully tack on, declares the Lord.
Declares the Lord,
like,
but it doesn't mean anything.
This is a really tricky place, and it seems like it could be unique to these people, but I think there are so many people today, so many people just in general, but also like so many people in leadership, pastors in leadership that can use and abuse words from the Lord. And we had talked about this at length.
Well, because
before.
people want to follow a vision. They want to follow a dream. They want to follow something that's been revealed by God. And that does happen. It's very, like, you need to understand, we believe that does happen. God gives people visions and dreams.
But I think many times it gets very worn out and very, like, exhausted because people, they want this, but are so willing to live in that like comfort and prosperity and you know what, God is gonna bless us, and I heard this, like, okay, but like leading a people, just like in the Bible, like this is not just a Jenny's heart thing, like just like what's happening with the people of Israel, there is impending doom. Yeah. Like it's coming and they're hearing about it, but everybody is just like turning their ears off to it. And they're completely fixed on these lying prophets that say, oh no, like you're going to be great, declares the Lord. It's going to be well for you, declares the Lord. And it's just like, there's like these forces that are just like against each other, pinned against each other in their sentences that they're speaking. It's so gross.
So a super key core concept to this is that God is speaking to people today. God is giving people dreams and visions today. That's like one of the key things that happens in Joel and then later in Acts, where Peter declares like this is happening. People are getting dreams and visions. Mm-hmm. The Holy Spirit is moving. That does happen today. But also what happens today is people lie about those things and mislead people about those things. So it's interesting that Jeremiah talks about, through the Lord, talks about how important the word of the Lord is and how the word of the Lord is true. And a dream is just a dream is just a dream. So one of the things that can be helpful is if you are hearing someone declare a message or a dream or a vision, if it doesn't support something that's already been revealed in Scripture, you should be kind of curious and kind of questioning about what's happening. And also, I've noticed when people talk about, I had this dream from the Lord or I had this vision from the Lord, it's okay to ask them, like, what was that like? Like, how do you know you heard from the Lord? And sometimes people are afraid to ask those questions, and sometimes people get really uncomfortable with those questions because they know that, I don't know, it could have just been something I ate, or it could have just been my own dream. So it's very important that we're students of the Word, that we understand God's revealed will in His Word, because that helps us discern deception from other people, and it keeps us from being in the same scenario as the people of Judah at this time.
So then we move into chapter 24, where it's again this like word picture for us. We see Jeremiah is faced with this idea of good figs and bad figs, and the Lord is basically like, hey, there is a part that is good and I am going to like restore it, and there are bad figs that are just going to be like utterly destroyed. They're not even good to eat, so like it's just going to be gone. So we get another one of those word pictures. I don't know if you want to add anything to that. It's kind of a short little
basically the key here is obedience.
Yeah.
Like the people who are fruitful before the Lord by obeying His word are going to be preserved. They're not going to be kept comfortable necessarily, but they're going to be preserved.
Then we move into chapter 25, which is giving us that view, that understanding of the 70 years. Like it's a legit number is tacked onto this.
This is a big deal because it carries over into other narratives. So if you're a big fan of Daniel, the Daniel in the Lion's Den Daniel, you can go over right now and look at Daniel chapter 9. And Daniel chapter 9 talks about how he was reading over the book of the prophet Jeremiah, and he discerned that they were going to be in captivity for 70 years, and he understood that the 70 years was coming to an end. So it's a real world example of how Daniel was reading what Jeremiah had written and passed on, and he was able to understand clearly what was happening in the world because of the prophecies of Jeremiah. So Daniel 9 is quoting Jeremiah 25. So it's kind of a cool back and forth with the Bible.
So your part for today that I think would be really helpful, especially as we're focusing in on these prophets, these lying prophets or false prophets, is to really think about your own life. Because like we said, this can happen in daily life where you are hearing many people that are saying, hey, I heard this from the Lord, or I'm sensing this from the Lord. I would encourage you today that whenever you hear any of these types of words or prophecies concerning what the Lord has said or what the Lord declares, that you really take it upon yourself to ask the Lord for wisdom, and also to really think about the words that are being said, to identify what is true and to discern what is deception. There are a lot of people that are willing to shepherd you, but not shepherd you well. And so it's really important to take those things to the Lord and ask him for wisdom in those situations so that you can ultimately know, hey, God, like, what is true here? Please give me eyes to see and wisdom to know what is true about what is being spoken on your behalf. So thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back for more Jeremiah tomorrow.
Thanks so much for listening to God's Plan, Your Part. If anything stuck out to you, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to receive a Bible, you can email us at godsplanyourpart@gmail.com. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us through the link in our description. We love that you're on this journey with us, and we hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.